There is a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, that happens before time begins. It is not marked by a ticking clock or a rising sun. It does not announce itself in seconds or dates, but arrives like a feeling, like an echo from a place deeper than memory. And in that moment, there is a realization, a whisper through the veil. You are not in time. Time is inside you. We are born into a world already humming with the machinery of time. Calendars mark our progress. Hours dictate our labor, and birthdays become milestones of decay disguised as celebration. We are taught to swim along the river of time as if it were external, as if it were some divine force governing our fate, a linear script penned before our arrival. But what if this river does not carry us? What if we are the river, and time is the current we generate simply by being aware? To say that time is inside you is not poetic fancy. It is an invitation to see the world and yourself through a lens stripped of illusion. It is to awaken to a truth that has long been hidden beneath layers of conditioning and cosmology. That the past is not behind you, the future is not ahead, and the present is not a razor's edge between them. Rather, all things are held within you as vibrations, patterns, and memory-like frequencies resonating through your consciousness. Our ancestors may not have had atomic clocks, but they possessed something we often forget to seek: direct gnosis of the infinite. To them, time was not hours stacked upon days, stacked upon years, but a spiral, a rhythm, a heartbeat, echoed in the stars and mirrored in the tides of human thought. They marked time not by watching it pass, but by entering communion with its pulse, seeing it not as a ruler's tool, but as a reflection of the inner cosmos. You have felt it too, haven't you? Those moments when time seems to bend and breathe, when seconds stretch into eternities, or hours vanish into nothing. A conversation so immersive it erases the clock. A heartbreak that suspends all motion. A dream so vivid it feels longer than a lifetime. These are not tricks of perception. They are glimpses, cracks in the grand illusion. Through them, the esoteric truth leaks in. Time is not an objective stage upon which you act. It is a field within you, a mirror of your attention and awareness. To journey into this idea is not merely to philosophize. It is to challenge the architecture of your entire reality. For if time is inside you, then so is the power to alter it, not in the mechanical sense of traveling to the past or jumping into the future, but in the sacred sense of collapsing the illusion of separation between what was, what is, and what may be. And with that collapse comes a strange freedom, one that cannot be granted by society or science. This realization stands at the edge of two worlds, one that binds you to cause and effect, and one that reveals that cause and effect are illusions of scale and perspective. To truly understand that time is inside you is to recognize that your thoughts sculpt not only your experience, but the unfolding of the reality you call life. The internal becomes external, and the soul becomes the clockmaker. There is a hidden science, whispered across millennia and disguised within spiritual traditions, hermetic symbols, and quantum equations alike. It does not worship time, it transcends it. It does not count hours, it codes them, This esoteric science reveals that time is not a line, but a loop, a holographic breath, folding in on itself like light through a prism. And within you, beyond the mind's narrative of before and after, this science is already operating. You are its instrument. You are its mystery. But to see this, you must turn inward, not as a retreat, but as a return to the place before time was given a name, to the stillness beneath the seconds, to the dimensionless space where presence replaces planning and knowing replaces remembering. This is the door we will walk through together. We will peel back the layers of clockwork reality and examine the subtle architecture underneath. We will explore the symbols that point to the invisible, the metaphors that carry ancient knowledge encoded in silence. And most importantly, we will seek to integrate this cosmic truth into the rhythms of everyday life, so that the mystical becomes the practical, and the eternal makes itself known in each breath you take. You were never born into time. Time was born into you. To understand that time is inside you is to enter a new realm of perception, one where the laws of physics begin to bend around consciousness, and where the ordinary world of seconds and schedules becomes a veil draped over a living, breathing truth. We move now into the heart of this idea, not to dissect it clinically, but to feel its pulse, to trace its current as it moves through every corner of being. The core themes of this exploration are not doctrines to be believed. They are experiences waiting to be remembered. Time, as we commonly understand it, is a construct, one woven from the interplay between memory and anticipation. It is not a thing out there, but a projection of our mind's need to orient itself within the unknown. And yet, even science admits the fragility of this construct. Einstein's theory of relativity shattered the illusion of absolute time, showing us that time bends, stretches, and collapses depending on speed and gravity. But this is only the beginning. What lies beyond relativity is not just an equation. It is the recognition that consciousness itself is the true constant, and time is its echo. Imagine consciousness as a vast ocean, unmoving, infinite. Time is the ripple on its surface, a vibration born not from external force, but from awareness interacting with form. In this way, time does not flow independently. It responds. It is shaped by observation, by attention, by presence. The more we lean into this truth, the more we see that past, present, and future are not separate locations in a cosmic timeline. They are perspectives held within the multidimensional mirror of now. This idea is echoed in ancient metaphysics. The Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, speaks to the correspondence between inner and outer, between the mind and the universe. In esoteric traditions, time was never linear. It was always cyclical, spiral, fractal, like sacred geometry unfolding from a single point of origin. That point of origin is you, not your personality or your history, but the still witness behind your eyes, the presence that remains unchanged as the world transforms around it. This theme, the primacy of awareness, is central to understanding why time exists within you. Because time does not exist in the absence of perception. Without memory, there is no past. Without expectation, there is no future. Time requires a self to track it, to measure its dance. And so, in every second that passes, it is not the universe that ages. It is the identity you believe yourself to be that moves through layers of experience, stitching together a story. That story is sacred, yes, but it is not the truth. It is a map, and maps are not the territory. Another core concept is resonance. Every moment you experience, every emotion you feel, vibrates at a certain frequency. Time is encoded within these vibrations. Think of it this way. When you recall a memory, your body does not travel to the past, but you feel the weight of that moment return. Your breath slows, your heart tightens. You are not in that time, but it is now in you again. The memory is a portal, and you are its architect. Resonance allows time to be layered rather than linear. Events are not stacked in a straight line, but woven like threads in a multidimensional tapestry. Some threads you call yesterday, others tomorrow, but they all converge in the loom of your awareness. This is why certain smells, sounds, or sights can collapse time instantly. A song takes you back. A scent returns a forgotten childhood. A word unlocks a future intuition. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of the deeper architecture beneath time's illusion. We are taught to think in timelines, but life unfolds in spirals. Every situation you face is not new. It is an energetic return, a chance to respond differently to the same frequency, to complete the circuit. Karma, in its most essential form, is not punishment or reward. It is time folding in on itself, offering you the opportunity to alchemize a pattern. The moment you respond differently, you shift timelines. You are not moving forward. You are rising within a spiral, returning to the same point, but at a higher octave. So, what does it mean, practically and mystically, that time is inside you? It means your soul does not age the way your body does. It means you can alter your reality not by waiting for the right moment, but by becoming the right vibration. It means healing does not take time. It takes presence. And it means that destiny is not a future waiting to arrive. It is a frequency waiting to be embodied. These core concepts lead us into deeper inquiries. If time is frequency, can it be tuned? If moments are patterns, can they be restructured? And if all of time exists within consciousness, then are we not gods walking through our own dreams? We are not victims of time. We are the architects of its flow. Every thought, every intention, every belief is a stone cast into the waters of the eternal now, sending ripples not just into the future, but across the whole field of possibility. And in this realization lies a secret power, a sacred responsibility. Stories are the original codes. Long before algorithms and data, before even written language, we passed truth in symbols. We wrapped the ineffable in myth because some things cannot be spoken directly. They must be felt, lived, remembered through metaphor. If time is inside us, then these stories are its sacred markers, reminders from the inner cartographer of the soul. And so we journey now through the symbolic landscapes, where time does not flow like a river, but pulses like a drumbeat beneath the skin of reality. Imagine a great tree in the center of the cosmos. Its roots stretch into the soil of dreams, and its branches hold the stars. this is not just the tree of life, it is the tree of time. Each leaf is a moment, flickering into existence, not because the wind of fate passed through, but because consciousness willed it so. The tree is not growing in time. It is time that grows within the tree. And the tree, ancient and still, is you. This symbol lives in many traditions. In Norse mythology, it is Yggdrasil. In Kabbalistic mysticism, it becomes the Sephiroth. In shamanic vision, it is the axis mundi. But in all its forms, the message remains. Time is vertical, not just forward and backward, but inward and upward. Each moment is not a step away from the past. It is a rung on a ladder into self-remembering. And then there is the labyrinth. Unlike a maze, a labyrinth has one path, winding and curling in spirals toward a single center. To walk it is to walk the journey of time, not to get somewhere new, but to return, to converge inward. The more you move, the closer you come, not to escape, but to essence. This is the hidden design behind many life patterns. We believe we are lost, repeating, regressing, but in truth, we are drawing closer with each turn. Time is not failing us. It is preparing us. One of the most powerful symbolic narratives is the myth of Chronos and Kairos. In Greek thought, Chronos is linear time, the ticking clock, the god who devours his children. It is the march of cause and effect, the tyrant of schedules and expiration dates. Kairos, however, is divine timing. It is the moment of revelation, the ripening of the unseen, the door that opens not because a date arrived, but because a soul awakened. We live most of our lives in Chronos, but transformation, the real shifts of life, only occur in Kairos. And Kairos is not in the calendar. It is inside you, a resonance, a readiness. Consider the ancient Egyptian symbol of the scarab beetle rolling its orb of dung across the sand. To the unaware, it is only an insect, lost in its cycle. But to the initiate, it is a symbol of Ra, the sun god, pushing the sun through the sky. This beetle does not move through time. It creates the illusion of time through its movement. And so do we. Our lives are that sacred labor. What we push forward is not just a future. It is light, wrapped in shadow, waiting to be reborn. In a lesser-known Taoist tale, a man dreams he is a butterfly. Upon waking, he wonders whether he is a man who dreamt of being a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming it is a man. Time disintegrates in this question. What is real? What is sequence? The tale does not resolve the paradox. It invites us to rest in it. Because sometimes the deepest truth is not found in clarity, but in surrendering to the space beyond explanation. Time, in its symbolic sense, is not a dictator. It is a canvas. It is not a ruler. It is a rhythm. And like all rhythms, it can be danced with, or it can be resisted. Those who awaken to the inner spiral realize that the beat they've been following was always self-generated. The ticking clock is not counting down your life. It is measuring your alignment with your soul's unfolding. Let us now invoke a final image, a prism suspended in space. Light passes through it, and from its singular purity emerges a rainbow, a spectrum, a sequence. This is time. The prism is consciousness. The rainbow is the illusion of chronology. All colors exist simultaneously in the light, but only when slowed through the lens of form do they appear to stretch into past and future. So too with you. Your highest self exists beyond the rainbow, in the white light of eternity. But your incarnation, your human story, is the rainbow made flesh. You are not fragmented. You are light remembering itself one color at a time. What these symbols share is not just poetic elegance, but encoded truth. They speak in dreams, so that our logical minds do not resist them. They carry frequencies beyond words, and as we listen to them, we begin to feel a shift, not in the world, but in the way we see the world, not in time, but in the spaciousness behind it. And that spaciousness is home. The mystical is only powerful if it can walk beside us in the mundane. A truth, no matter how cosmic, must reach into our daily breath if it is to become wisdom. So now we turn from the symbolic to the lived. What happens when you begin to embody this awareness that you are not in time, but that time is in you? At first, the world may not change. The sun will still rise. Emails will still arrive. Bills will still request payment. But beneath the surface, something fundamental begins to reorganize. Time loosens its grip. Urgency begins to dissolve. The anxious clawing toward what's next starts to feel hollow. And in its place rises something far more profound: presence. Presence is not passive. It is not laziness dressed as spirituality. It is a high art, a discipline of attention. When you realize time is within you, presence becomes your native state, not a vacation from stress. You begin to move from the inside out. Instead of reacting to a world that feels ahead of you, you draw the world into your field. Life begins to answer your stillness rather than your striving. Take, for example, the way we relate to productivity. Most people live in bondage to clocks, measuring self-worth by output, dividing their spirit into hours and their value into quotas. But if time lives within you, then your creative rhythm cannot be forced. Ideas arrive when you align, not when you hustle. The artist, the mystic, the true innovator, these are not people who manage time. They enter timelessness, and in that timelessness, genius flows. Even healing transforms when seen through this lens. The mainstream view of healing is linear. First this phase, then that symptom, followed by this resolution. But emotional wounds do not heal in straight lines. They spiral, revisit again. If time is in you, then so too is the moment of healing. You are not waiting for a day in the future when you will be better. You are curating the conditions for that timeline to surface now. And what about relationships? So many of us approach connection from the scarcity of time, worrying about missed chances, aging love, or futures unfulfilled. But if time is within you, then intimacy becomes eternal in every instant. One glance, one conversation, one moment of pure presence can carry more truth than a lifetime of routine. Because time is not the measure of depth. Presence is. This perspective also changes how we view death. We fear death because we think it is an exit from time. But in truth, Death is a transition within consciousness, and time was never separate from it. Many spiritual traditions speak of the life review, a panoramic experience of one's entire existence occurring not over hours, but in a single timeless flash. This is not fantasy. It is coherence. Time folds inward at death, just as it does in moments of spiritual awakening. Both birth and death reveal the same secret. Time was never outside of you. It was always a projection, a learning field, a sacred game. This understanding can even reshape your interaction with memory and imagination. The past is not static. It shifts when you shift. You've likely revisited a memory years later and felt it differently. Perhaps you even saw it in a new light. That's not because time changed. It's because you did. You are the projector. The real may look the same, but the lens has evolved. Likewise, imagining your future is not fantasy. It's resonance. The future version of you already exists in a field of potential, and by aligning emotionally, vibrationally, spiritually, you invite that self into manifestation. You might begin to notice synchronicities more often, those strange alignments that feel too precise to be coincidence. When you are outside the trance of linear time, synchronicity becomes natural. It's not the universe sending you signs. It's the universe matching your internal state and revealing what you are ready to see. Time bends around clarity. When you know who you are, time adjusts itself to reflect that knowing. So what are the real-world practices that emerge from this awareness? You might begin to slow down, not because you're lazy, but because rushing begins to feel like spiritual violence. You begin to breathe with awareness, recognizing each inhale as a reset point, a gateway to presence. You may start structuring your life less around the clock and more around cycles, natural rhythms, lunar tides, emotional seasons. Instead of forcing progress, you listen for ripeness. Instead of setting goals from scarcity, you feel into timelines that want to unfold. This changes how you pray, meditate, or set intentions. No longer begging the universe for a future you don't believe in, you begin to feel what already exists. You enter the vibrational space of your desired outcome and live from that state. Manifestation becomes less about getting something later and more about being that frequency now. This is how timelines collapse. This is how realities shift. And when challenges arise, you no longer say, "Why is this happening to me now?" Instead, you ask, "What part of me called this in for integration?" Because if time is within you, then so are your lessons. You no longer curse delays. You read them. You no longer fight endings. You trust their rhythm. This is not a denial of the world's structures. It is a reorientation within them. You still show up. You still do the work. But now you do so as a creator, not a captive. The hours of the day become allies, not enemies. You walk through life as if through a sacred corridor, knowing every second is vibrating with the echo of your soul's own movement. This is the revolution. Quiet, inward, unmistakable. What then are we to make of it all? You've walked with me through a winding path, not one paved with ordinary explanations, but one lit by symbols, sensations, and revelations that pulse with ancient remembering. If you've felt even a flicker of recognition along the way, it is not because you've learned something new, but because something dormant in you has stirred, has risen, has looked back through your eyes and whispered, "Yes, I remember." The idea that you are not in time, but that time is inside you, is not just a perspective shift. It is a dimensional reorientation of self. It is the end of exile. It is the soul returning to its throne after millennia of sleepwalking through someone else's calendar. You are not the child of the clock. You are the parent of time. This realization is not the final chapter. It is the opening of the true book, the one not written in pages, but in vibrations, the one not read with the eyes, but with awareness. And the deeper you enter into it, the more clearly you begin to see. Time has never truly passed. It has only danced around you, played within you, waited patiently for you to awaken to your own sovereignty. What will you do now, knowing this? You might sit beneath the stars and feel them pulsing in your blood, not distant, not cold, but intimate, reflecting the constellations within your very DNA. You may look back at your life and realize none of it was wasted. Not even the delays, the regrets, the broken timelines. They were all sacred geometry, spiraling you inward toward the center. The pain you carried was not time punishing you. It was time collapsing, inviting you back to presence. You may wake tomorrow and no longer race against the day, but welcome it as a lover does a long-lost companion. You might meet each task not as a thing to get through, but as a moment to fill with the eternal light behind your gaze. You may begin to treat every conversation, every pause, every breath, as if it were eternity itself disguised as a second. Because it is. You may begin to pray differently. Not to a God trapped in history, but to the living intelligence that breathes in this very moment. And you may begin to understand that time is not a barrier between you and the divine. It is the stage upon which you realize you were never separate at all. This is the real secret. The hidden architecture behind every esoteric teaching, every mystery school, every awakened heart. Time is the illusion that creates the opportunity for remembering. And once you remember, you don't just change. You collapse everything that kept you fragmented. You reclaim the pieces scattered across lifetimes. You become whole again, not in the future, but now. Always now. So if you've felt out of sync, lost in the days, fearful of what's to come or bound by what has passed, pause, not as escape, but as return. Place your hand over your heart and feel its pulse. That is not just a beat, it is a metronome of eternity, a cosmic drum summoning you back to yourself. It is the only clock that matters, and it was never counting down. It was always counting inward. You are the center of your timeline, the axis around which your lifetimes swirl, the eye of the storm, the seed and the fruit. Do not wait for time to change so you can be free. Let your freedom change time. Live as though you are timeless, because you are. Speak as though your words shape timelines, because they do. Breathe as though each inhale echoes through dimensions, because it does. You are no longer a prisoner of the hourglass. You are the hand that turns it over. The glass, the sand, the space in between. So go now, not forward, but inward. Walk not toward a future, but toward the point within that contains them all. You are not running out of time. You are remembering that you were always the source of it. This is your moment. The spiral opens, the prism clears, the illusion thins, and what remains is you.